stepping close. This is for the grown folks, mature ears only, graphic talk, explicit tongue. The views here, they don't belong to the house. The sponsors stay clean. The station keeps its hands dry. You listen at your own risk. The owners won't hold the bag. The agents won't take the fall. Don't tape it. Don't trade it. Don't pass it around unless the producer says, get it in writing. Keep it legit. The air gets heavy here. The blackness has a beat. The last broadcast you might ever catch before the void takes the mic. Lock the door. Turn the dial. This is the moment. The heavy weight of the night. This is the Debbie Perkins radio show. And here she is, walking through the smoke. Your host, Debbie Perkins. Titans and the cinema kings, beautiful faces on the magazines, beautiful faces to the restless dead, the ones who talk to the restless dead, the things they saw, the things they said. Paranormalists and the A-list names, playing the high stakes wild card games, from the silver screen to the catwalk strut. She's got the doors to the basement shut. Variety and entertainment meet perfection. A masterclass in total subjection. It's for the penthouse and the alleyway too. Not just the elite, it's for me and for you. More than just the cream of the crop. Once it gets rolling, it's never gonna stop. Don't you dare turn that knob away. Don't miss a word she has to say. The guests are waiting in the dark, waiting for the food to find its spark. From the models to the ghost in the hall, Debbie Perkins is the queen of it all.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Hollywood Red Carpet Radio Show. I'm Debbie Perkins. I'm your host, and I have the most beautiful actress, author, and veteran, Mindy Dourhety. And Mindy, thank you so much for coming on. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Close enough. Everybody eats it up. It's Dourhety.
Okay. Dourhety. Okay. Why can't I say that? What's wrong with me? My tongue is tied.
I tell people at like pizza dough and then just add Dourhety.
Oh, that's wicked cool. That's cute. So how have you been? It's been a while. We talking last week about like how long it's been. It's been a long time since you've been on.
Yeah, well, it's been at least since COVID, and COVID was what, 2020, so it's 26. So I want to say at least 10 years. Maybe we haven't.
Isn't it crazy? The time is gone
very fast.
Now, has the experiences been growing in your life with the entertainment industry, and how's it been for you?
So I joined a couple different independent films, and as a matter of fact, we just are doing the distribution and getting everything else ready for Clown Motel 3. And in July, I'm going to be filming Killer Pizza Man with Will Colazzo. And I just recently, about maybe 6 months or 7 months ago, released my autobiography, and that's called Resilient Warrior.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thanks. And then I've got my children's book called A Dragon's Voice. And there's lessons in there for the kids to learn. So, like, don't steal, don't take what's not yours, create friends by doing a win-win situation, and then listen to your intuition. And then my autobiography is all about my life.
Now, how did you get inspired to write the book? What brought you to that, where you felt like, I've got to do something?
So somebody asked me to read something, and I remembered like how they were talking about school, and then they bridged off to talking about their kids, and the kid was struggling. And it just like light bulb went on at one point, and I was like, you know what if I created a book for kids with disabilities so that they could read a little easier? And so what I told my publisher is what I wanted, and this book, I haven't seen anybody else do this, is they have the words on one page and then the lesson right there. Instead of reading the whole book and getting the lessons, and then you got to figure out what the lessons are, I wanted the lessons to be in bold. So that way the kids could understand, and the parents, if the kids can read, then they get an imagination because the picture's on the other side. So they're looking at the words first to see if their picture matches, and then they turn the page and the picture's right there. And so I did that because there's too many people with disabilities that are trying to figure out, how do I get this lesson to my kid? And it also bridgeways conversations at any point for the parents to, talk about it. Like, hey, don't steal. But the biggest one of listening to your intuition. And that portion I wrote because I am involved with a large group that's trying to decrease sex and human trafficking. So my book, this children's book, is in 6 police departments, 5 different states. And my autobiography with the children's book is in Alabama, Sex Trafficking and Human Alliance. And the reason I am doing it for the police stations is so that when they get picked up for human trafficking or sex trafficking or for abuse, they can give them this book and they can read it while they're in the back of the car, or they can read it at their station so that it calms down their nervous system.
That's a great idea. Because I think they're victims and they're scared. And they don't know how to trust anybody at that point.
Right.
Like even a police officer is helping you, but they're still children. They're still in the child mind. They don't know. I mean, a lot of kids bottle things up and don't want to talk about things either.
Right. And that's why also it's a segue for them to get the book read to them if they don't know how to read. And then they can answer those questions of, intertwined with the lessons that are in there.
And not only that, Mindy, but it picks ages before reading stages and helps them.
So it's basically 12 and under.
Yeah. And then you get the word, and then the word matches up the picture, which makes their memory remember the word and then the picture.
Yeah, it helps with processing disorders. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I was not a good speller when I was growing up. I spelled it like I heard it.
So I was good at spelling, but I wasn't good at putting the whole idea together. Like if I read one page, it didn't make sense to the next page. Or you know how some people can keep like a story together and they've got like the characters and they got, visualization of it all. No, my brain didn't. My brain said, don't compute.
Right.
So that's why I also wanted it from one page to the next to be a different lesson so that it wasn't like combining those pages, because that's where I found difficulty.
Right. You wanted something so that when they flip the page, they get a new idea.
Right. Or a new lesson.
That's amazing, because I think a lot of adults would try to communicate with a child but not get through to them. So the book will do that. And that can happen at their own pace while they're just sitting there looking, because we all like to look at things.
Sure.
I mean, if we didn't, we wouldn't have these cell phones. We wouldn't be living in the world of technology that we're in right now. So,
correct. I mean, technology mania.
That is, sorry, my table's moving. I got a puppy pushing my table. Get, naughty puppy. So anyways, so that's amazing. Now, Mindy, where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up on the East Coast, and then also kind of in the summers, I went to go visit my dad. So my parents were separated from the time that I was born. So my dad lived in California, and we lived on the East Coast and traveled a lot. And so when I would go out to the summer, it was like basically for the school time. So usually about 2 to 4 weeks, so a month basically. So I'd go out to California, and, each place I'd go to the beach, whether I was in Florida, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania, or in California, there's always like a beach on each side. So for the summers, I would go to California and go to like Huntington Beach or Fountain Valley. It was in Orange County.
No, now, did you, because you're from the East Coast, what was your feeling? Because a lot of people can actually move from the East Coast to the West Coast and just adapt. Did you feel like it was would it be an easier transition if you did want to move out that way?
No, it wasn't easy for me because people are at a much quicker pace, and our attitudes are much abrupt and harsh. And so what I found was that people were like, you know, why are you being mean to me? Why are you so angry? And I was like, I'm not angry. I'm just,
angry.
you know, or they'd be like, you're talking too quick. And I'm like, all right. So I had to literally slow myself down.
Slow it down when you're.
And they're like, we don't understand you. I don't know what dialect you're speaking. I was like, this is English. What do you mean? What am I speaking? So, I mean, it was just a very big transition, and it took me a while to get used to it. And it's still, sometimes I have to remind myself, like, because if I talk to somebody from the East Coast, then I, you know, am right back to where I was, you know, where I used to be. And then I get off the phone and my friends are like, whoa, 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 what are you saying? And I'm like, oh, whoops, I got to transition back again.
I think that we do that to a lot of people. So I've met people where they have moved out west, and we remind them of home when they hear our voice.
Right.
So their dialect, all of a sudden, they will talk like they are from where they're at. Then all of a sudden, while they're talking to you, their dialect changes back to home.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome because it brings them back to who they are. They really are.
I think the brain is like a chameleon. So it like adapts to wherever it's at. And I think that might have been like a survival mechanism from birth, you know, like we all wanted to survive. So in order to survive, we had to fit into the groups, right? If you're an outcast back then, especially, you know, back in the day, you'd get killed or you would die because you wouldn't have the survival skills in order to fit in so that you could go to this society. So I think our brain is kind of trained to do that.
I think that's amazing. Now, you served as in one of the branches in the military.
Yep, I was a U.S. Army field combat medic when I first went in, and then I went to Bosnia, Croatia, and Hungary. I was stationed in Germany. Unfortunately, got a parasite and got really, really sick and got pancreatitis. But I did 2 more years in Colorado Springs, so I did a total of 4 years. And in between, I did a lot of things, you know, and I represented the base in Washington, D.C. to try to get things changed for the military. And then when I got out, my pancreatitis kept going. So I had my pancreas taken out in a couple different sections. So I have no pancreas, no gallbladder, no duodenum, and no appendix. So, I mean, there's like 4 organs missing at this point, which makes me kind of an automatic diabetic. And so, you know, fast forward to the VA and all the other stuff, like, the care at the veterans hospitals, they're subpar. You know, I don't even know if we could say it's subpar. Just
Mark, we can say
it's just so bad.
Mark, we can talk about that, can't we? Because you go to the VA hospital too.
Oh yeah, I'm an Air Force vet.
Oh yeah, see, there you go. See, I met somebody today that was fixing my shoe, that was getting me orthotics and stuff, and he's a vet as well. And when I walked in, he was talking about the VA, and he told me he got kicked out because he couldn't get along with the doctors. And I was like, well, I definitely understand that because I don't get along with some of them.
Yep, you know what I tell them? I tell the docs this: you work for me, and if you don't like it, I can go down to, you know, admin, and I can change doctors right now.
Sometimes you're stuck with only one doctor, though, especially in a small city like me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I'm in a regional area.
Oh, okay.
So,
no, I'm in a small city of like, I think we just got to 25,000 in this city and 140 in the next city over.
So when they're that small, they're not as attentive as they would be in a bigger city.
We don't have much choice, is what I'll say.
Which bringing awareness to that has to help.
You're talking
someone.
You're talking 25 to 30 individuals per one doctor for that 1 hour. So
That's
Right.
crazy.
or more.
Well, and they don't even have an hour. They're basically submitted to 15 minutes. So your 15 minutes, you better hurry up. And I think that's probably also why I talk so quick. Get it all in, get it all
What
out.
you need done. Wow. So that's not appropriate time to help anybody.
Correct.
That's not-
And that's why a lot of veterans get angry after their appointments because they don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. So yesterday, as a matter of fact, I got in touch with the legislator. She actually finally got a hold of me and we created a meeting. And yesterday, her and her aide talked to me and I said, the biggest thing I want for Oregon right now, because you can only go state by state, right? Eventually, maybe it can go further, but for right now, this is where we're going to start. I said, anybody who's 100% service connected, we genuinely need our taxes for our houses to be brought down a lot more than 3% on the total. Because at this point, we're exponentially growing. This house or any of the other houses are like worth 2 to 3 times what they were 10 years ago.
Move down
And the
here,
taxes
Mindy.
are going up.
Move down here with me.
No, I
Yes,
love this
yes,
place.
I'm in Texas. We don't. If you're a vet, you don't pay state tax on property.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where I got tortured at San Antonio, Texas, was for 4 straight months. And I was bedbound for 3 years and 8 months, and it took me 7 years to relearn how to walk. So if I don't have to go to Texas, besides doing filming, I won't go.
She's from New England.
Well,
No, you're from.
I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but
Oh, so there
you know,
go.
I'm depending on what hospital you go to here, the one that I'm at, it seems to be pretty decent.
Okay.
But
I've heard
I've
Austin
gone
is
through
really
I've
different,
gone through the
too.
system in other states, and
Okay.
you know, it's not the same. Every place is different.
It is. And what people don't understand is every time you go, you're almost seeing a new doctor, a new resident, because after a certain amount of time, everybody changes over. So you're repeating your story over and over and over, and they don't look at the charts. They don't look at your past history. They say, okay, so tell me about you, or tell me what's going on. It's like, oh my God, please, if I have to tell my story one more time.
It's like flip them.
So if you only have a certain amount of time and you're trying to get that, if you have a hard case like mine is, you're just not going to get the time, And so I'm really happy that we get to see a civilian personnel here. It's called community care, which I fought for in 2014 to get this done. And then also what I want from the legislator is to propose a bill so that we can vote on it, so that people that are 100% service connected get less taxes off of their houses, because in other states too, it's really bad. But it goes by cities and it's by counties and stuff like that. And she told me, well, I represent these 3. However, if we put this bill and propose it, it will go to all of Oregon. And I was like, all right, well, let's do that. If we could start in Oregon, then maybe other states will come in, but it just depends on who, unfortunately, it all depends on who's running that state, So I'm just hoping that the bill, she said, well, do you mind using your story as, to help me? I was like, I'm the one who wanted to create this. So yeah, of course I'll help you,
Absolutely.
You can use my voice, you can use my name, you can use my story, whatever you need to do to get this passed, because it's more important for me to get things done for myself, because I told her, I said, it's not only for me, it's for the people that are getting homeless at this point in time. But in 10 years, I'm going to be them. And if it's not changed now, what is it going to be like in 10 years? So I don't want to be homeless. So
there's people that are in that, they go through suicide, they have PSTD. I mean, they go through so many different mental avenues when because they're over there and they're fighting different wars and they're seeing things that normal you don't see as a child or growing up. So it's shock. Their system is shocked, their body shocked, and not to mention coming back with like
issues
something over there that makes you sick, or physically breaking your body down. You guys put your lives on the line for all the Americans, for every human being in America. You're over there doing something to save, keep us safe, keep the children safe, keep the elderly safe. There has to be things in place to keep the veterans safe.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping that they propose, because if we can make a difference now, then maybe other bills will come into place. And if I can start there and it gets passed, then I can also propose more bills, But for right now, I just want the taxes to be taken care of, because it won't help for this year, but it could help for next year once we get started. And that's, for me, being heard was the most important thing, because when I sent my email first, they had sent me back an email saying, are you available this week, this time? And I was like, yeah, but they didn't get back to me for like 4 weeks. And I was like, what's going on? So they finally said, we're sorry, this, that, the other. So it was nice to actually be heard yesterday and to actually get a meeting in to where her and the aide was there. And she said, in 2 weeks, we'll send you an email about what we're proposing, what we're going to put together. And I was like, all right. And I told her, I mentioned my children's book because I was trying to get it into education system. And I said, I sent over 260 emails. And after 40 emails, the lady got really mad at me and told me to stop writing her, because she's the decision maker and she's not going to make it go forward because of all these other things. And I said, there shouldn't be one person making the decision for all the education systems over here. It's just not okay. So she's like, we'll look at that. And I said, did you know that in Bend, Oregon, we are almost the highest rated for sex trafficking and human trafficking? Her mouth dropped and she looked at her aide like this, like, did you know that? She's like, no. She goes, I'm going to talk to the police department and find out if that's true. And I'm like, good. I hope you do, because that's why I'm here, and I figure if I went through all of these things to get me to this point, then I want to use it for good, and I'm not trying to use like that cheesy cliche of, no, you do this. I'm not a Hallmark thing, but basically I really genuinely have been making changes and trying to help make changes since I was in the military in 1997, representing the base in Fort Carson, and then being sent to Washington, D.C. to represent over 27,000 soldiers at the time. So I got a lot of things changed at the base. When I went back 10 years later, there was all these changes that were made because of what I asked for. And like almost everything was done except for changing our pink billets for the medics, because it was like, here's your Pepto-Bismol building. So it's kind of the joke of our base, it's like, oh, they ain't changing this. All right, well, the other things kind of changed.
They're gonna know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and we didn't have any telephones on the actual base. So what I wanted was that we only had the, you could put a quarter into the actual telephone and then you can pick it up. They didn't have cell phones back then, so you only had a pay phone. So basically what I wanted to do is, so I brought in Sprint, and Sprint gave us contracts to each room to be able to have telephones in at that time. So that was the biggest change too to Fort Carson, because every time you were waiting for the payphone, you'd wait for hours just to talk to your family members, and people were getting angry and upset. And I was like, well, okay, what can I do to make a difference? So I just went to each, different unit, and I was like, what can we do to make a change? What's bothering me the most? And if I could find out what's bothering them the most, then I could try to fix those problems.
Sorry, I was talking to the dog. I muted myself because he started bark. But I think that's fabulous. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I think that every person that puts their life on the line for any Americans, we need to have gratitude for everybody. And what you're doing is you're preserving people's lives by helping them to have more quality in life, especially after they've already served their time. They've become veterans, they've been disabled, or whatever has happened to them. Some of them go through mental problems and all of that. And by making it aware that you need more doctoring, you need more help, your hospitals are lacking. Right. And that's why suicides are happening. And that's why, I had a neighbor that was a veteran from the Vietnam War. And of course he had a lot of issues, and he ended up shooting his gun in the middle of the night, drinking because alcohol went because he was, when people they need medicine but they drink instead, so he was kind of masking his need for help. Then he took a gun out. The police arrested him. He go into jail, and it was so sad because we who knew him knew he had a lot of issues with the VA and with himself, but there was nothing they could do except for beat that poor old man up. So here he's like 80-year-old man getting all beat up, and he's a veteran. He saved lives. What are we doing? What are we doing to these people?
Right.
Because without them, we wouldn't be here. My grandfather was a vet. My brothers, all three of them went into service. They all got, their, they got out honorably. And I'm grateful that they would do that for us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I appreciate what you're doing for these people because I'm part of that too. Even though I didn't join, my family members did. And so I knew all about, like, my brother's Navy, Air Force, and Navy, Air Force, and the Army.
Right.
My oldest brother doubled up, so he went to Air Force, then into the Navy.
Okay. What did he like better?
He became a dentist while he was in there. And then he went to Tufts College, so he got his degree and all that. Then he went to be on the ship, and then was the dentist on the ship. He loved it. He loved it.
Right.
He when he got married, I was shaking hands with some of the highest end people in the service, and they were people, but there was like so many ranks to their names before their name came. So it was like a super honor to think this person is in charge of thousands of people. Right. Keeping us safe. So I had a funny feeling about like how wonderful these people were. Like, I pedestaled them, but they didn't expect that. They don't expect to be pedestaled because they're doing their job and they're doing what they signed up for, but they also sometimes love what they're doing. Right. I think that's just when young people get in the service, they don't know what they want to do, but eventually they figure it out because there's so many different avenues.
Well, a lot of them are hiding from either abuse or abusive situations or because of their childhood. So you take somebody who's like, quote unquote, broken, and then they go into a system and they're trying to find some type of like belonging. And then you take them away from that. And a lot of soldiers don't know how to transition into the civilian life per se, because they want to know that they matter. They want to know that they're doing something. And when they become like sergeants or when they're officers and they become captains and stuff, they're making those decisions. And the problem with that is when they get out in the civilian world, you can tell somebody to do something all day and they'll be looking at you like, that's nice. They don't have to follow orders. There's no following orders in the civilian.
It's a whole nother world. But there's no helping them to acclimate into society either.
There are programs trying to do that, but it doesn't work. You'll never know what the civilian world is like until you're there. And you can take all these classes to say, this is how it's going to go, but you won't know it until you experience it. It's just like somebody saying, going to war. You'll never know what somebody's experiencing until you get shot at, or their bombs are going off, or you haven't slept in over 48 hours and haven't had a meal and you're trying to figure things out, So,
and that's impossible.
And these television shows, they're like the movies that, and that's why a lot of soldiers kind of get frustrated because it's like, well, it's so far off base, but there are some that are actually really good documentary types, and they are legit, like straight right on of like what happened, like the guy that saved all those people and then he came back. There's two really good films that were literally directly involved with that. And so I think people try to get the details right. And then, if you have other veterans that have experienced it and they're in the film, it's kind of easier because they can tell you like, oh, hey, hold your weapon like this, do that, you're not going to go into a room and be wide open. You're not gonna, that's a safety protocol. So or when you're looking at their boots and you're like, tuck your laces in, like the little things that people will notice if you don't do it, like that's the first thing somebody said, hey, tell him to put his boots, on right. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, go look. And I'm like, oh, his laces. All right. He did. Tuck your laces in. Yeah, I was rolling my eyes because I'm like, this is a film, people. Come on. But I understand where they're coming from too, because it's like everything is, to some people, everything is in order. And when things get out of order, that's disarray for them. So they're looking for all the things that are wrong and scanning, Great, the things that are right. But in the military, they're looking for what's wrong. So they're like,
Well, there's a reason for everything. They were trained that way, I'm sure, as well. So it goes down the line.
Well, so and the reason you put those laces in the boots is because if you're on certain Humvees or doing certain things, your laces can get caught up and then your foot's gone.
Oh, wow.
Pretty important to get your laces tucked in. But people are like, why is this so important? And I'm like, well, get your foot taken off and maybe you'll know why. Maybe you'll always put your pin. Maybe you always lace up those and stick them in there. And it's habit now. Like sometimes I'm shoving my laces and I'm like, whoops, pulling back out.
I never thought of that, but that makes 100% because if you caught yourself walking, you're going down.
Yeah. And you might lose your foot. I mean, literally in the machines that we use, well, especially nowadays, it's a lot different. But when I was there are just certain things that you go around, like in like the helicopter areas, in the Humvee areas, in training, when you're going through all these, things in training, it's not the right time to be worried about your boots. You need to learn that training so that should war happen, and that's what people forget too. We go in the service knowing that we're going to be signed up and we could go to war. And I think people have forgotten that in this new generation, new system.
In the soft world of the military where
I don't know where people are getting this idea.
Soft feathers and butterflies, when it's hardcore, it's labor intensive. When you're in boot camp, that's just the beginning. That's not telling you what it's going to be like 5 years down the road.
Sure, but when you go to your duty stations and all that other stuff, that's where the real training comes into effect. And I think that the civilian world, they forget that any military is only there for just in case we go to war. They're like, well, I don't want him to go to war. And I'm like, for me, I joined the military to go to war. I'm a nurse now, I was a trauma nurse when I got out. That's the best training I could ever get. Because I wanted to go to Iraq and Afghanistan, and my friends are like, no, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do. They sent me to the wrong place, sent me to the wrong country. And they're like, no, I'll be glad you didn't go. There's a lot of things that people got messed up with. Friends of mine that went like 3 and 4 tours, and then they went to Somalia, and they went to Africa, and went to all these different things. And each war is different. Even if you go to the same place, each time it's different. You're using different technology. You're using, an AT-4, which is a grenade launcher. You're just using so many different things. The 50 cal, your, AR-16. There's all these things that you're using back then. And now there's just so much technology that's bringing us today, but there's still some of the same things that we're dealing with. And so for the civilians, it's like, I think we need to remind people, we are there in the military, and whoever is the president at the time is our biggest leader. I mean, that we have to follow his orders no matter what. You don't disrespect or you don't disregard those orders, or you're getting kicked out. And if you get kicked out, you're getting kicked out dishonorably, and you don't have a job when you get out, because nobody wants a dishonorable discharge, and nobody wants a dishonorable soldier, because when they get out, they're going to be disgruntled, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Right.
Maybe I'll take that back. Maybe when you're in construction or something that like people have their own business, like plumbing or whatever. But Nobody
No,
really wants
not a
to
career.
hire somebody who's been dishonorably discharged, because then you got to figure out, why did they get dishonorably discharged? Was it a mental issue? Was it a physical
Right.
issue? Was it a combination of both? Like, if this guy got dishonorably discharged, you have to do something pretty good to get out like that.
Right. They have to do something, or even just run away, like be a coward and take off.
Oh no, you can't run. You'll get put in jail. You'll go to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. So there is no running out. There is no I quit. There is no I'm going to go here for the weekend and do a trip. You have to tell your soldiers where you're going and all these other things, because if you don't, you're considered AWOL, which is called absence without leave, and they will put you in jail. They can put you in jail, or they could do all these other things that people don't understand either. It's the repercussions. You know, if somebody goes out and goes on vacation and doesn't tell their commander, and all of a sudden their commander's trying to call them and they're not available, oh boy, is there a lot of trouble. And it's not fun.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. So some of your
Then they get
education
double
in there-
jeopardy too on that when they come home.
Right.
Oh, really?
Correct. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
really?
not good. And there's certain people who even tried to do certain things while they were in war, and the consequences are so deep that, you know, it's like you play the game and then you don't realize the consequences. Well, the consequences are there for a reason. It's probably to scare people as well, so that they don't.
I think so.
Go AWOL, and they don't. You know, if you have stuff that's so scary that you know that's going to happen for the consequences, it kind of makes it prevention. You know, it's like, I'm not going anywhere. Hey, I'm going over here. You know, and you're going to make sure you clock in to whoever you're supposed to and report to who you're supposed to. And then when you get out and you have that piece of paper that says you are honorably discharged, you get something called the DD-214, and everything that you have done from beginning, literally, to the end is put on that service record. So, and that's a big important paper, because you're not really
there are
getting
certain
anywhere
things
without
that they can't put on there too, you know, depending on what you were doing and where you were at. But for the
right.
most
Well,
part,
mine
they
doesn't
can.
tell anybody that I was in Bosnia.
I've been to places that they could not put stuff like that in my files because it would take congressional to take and someone in a skiff to say, "Oh, okay, maybe no, yeah."
No, you're right. Like my trip to Bosnia, they didn't put it in there as well. So there are some things that are covert operations, and they can't say anything. When I was going to Bosnia, Croatia, and Hungary, we weren't even allowed to do. We couldn't even call anybody at the time. They were like, basically, you're leaving in 24 hours. Pack your bags. Do not tell anybody. So, and people don't realize that. So when families are like, well, where did you go? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you just give me a heads up? It's like, I was ordered not to. And if I'm ordered not to, there's a reason why we're ordered not to. And you have a certain amount of time to pack your bags, literally, and get out.
And you cannot talk about that because that's private. I mean, that's top secret. That's a mission, and they don't want that. Well, squeaky wheel.
They don't want things leaked, because if one person gets it out, then somebody else is going to get out. And
then
there's no real secrets when people are like, oh, because you worry people, from home. You're like, oh, I'm going to go to this place and we're going to war. It worries people.
Yeah, we can't even tell Congress.
What? Oh, no, can't tell nobody. But then you can be sanctioned really bad if you do say something.
There are consequences to your actions.
Yeah.
So now reacting to your actions as well.
And that goes even after you're done with your time in service, because, that's why I don't talk about a lot of places that I've been or done, things that I've done, because I don't know if it's, been cleared that, that's old enough that we don't have to think about or, we can talk about, because that's maybe Cold War stuff.
I actually signed documents in 1997 that basically would promise that I would never say anything about a certain place that I had gone. And if I spoke out, then there would be consequences to that. And still till this day, like, you're not allowed to say anything when you get out of the military either. You sign those documents. And I don't want to go to jail. So I'm okay with shutting my mouth while certain things when people ask. I'm like, why don't you go into the books and look for yourself? And if you can't find it, you weren't meant to know it.
That's awesome.
And when people push me for that information, I will tell them flat out, like, either we're going to be done with this conversation or I need to move on, or, we can change the subject. But you're not going to tell me to tell you what I can't tell you just because you want to know or you're curious. So there's just certain things that people take for granted, and they think that we're joking about something or it can't be that serious.
Right.
When I sign papers to basically make sure that I don't tell people certain things, it's pretty serious. Obviously, or I wouldn't be signing a piece of paper to say, I'm going to keep my mouth shut forever. I'm going to take this to the grave.
Yeah.
And then people will wonder, like, well, when you were out there, did you see this? And I'm like, I just told you I can't answer that.
Right. Yeah, and that's baiting you to communicate.
Oh,
and you would never guess that even cooks have a high-level security clearance.
Yeah.
Anybody that goes, anybody that's part of that tribe or that group of people, they're all signing that documentation to top secret.
Some people are not, though. Some people are just soldiers and they have no idea. But in certain cases, there are people that have to sign a paper before they get out because they went on certain missions that nobody is supposed to know about. I signed documents before I got out in 1997, stating that everything was fine. So it only on my DD-214 it says where I went to basic training, and then the 2 bases that I was at, and nothing in between. So I'm like, that's interesting. And then they'll tell you your awards and stuff like that, and people are like, that doesn't make sense, Mindy. Why do you have this award when it just says you were here and here? I'm like, well, that's something that you have to figure out on your own.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's kind of like now I'm allowed to say that. I served in NATO with a blue hat, but what did I do there? Not going to tell you that.
No.
Right. Because it's telling secrets, and that's called espionage. And, you see all these spy movies and stuff like that. Some of it is scary real. And they're like, don't think that they're not listening into conversations, and don't think that they don't have the ability to any time to go into your computer, go into your phone, come into your life. Like people don't realize that.
Even after you've been released from
sometimes, especially after you've been released, because they want to know that you're keeping the secret, and they'll also put people in place undercover. Our phones will, even if you try to delete something, it has a microchip. You're not deleting it. You're deleting it for you, but if the person that has the technology, it's never going to be erased. That's why I tell people, I caution them, be careful of what you put on the internet, because once it's on there, it's never coming off. Whether you think it's deleted or not.
I 1,000% agree with you on that. I've been asked to send nude photos. I'll never do that. I don't want my naked body on the internet forever. I don't care who they are. I don't. But I completely understand that secrecy, because they have to do that. We have to stay safe. And that's how they keep us safe. So they're doing it for the positive reason. You having to hold the secret and acting like, 2 months, 3 months of your life was invisible. But you know what you've experienced. You know what level it was at. You know what you had to do. You were trained. And it takes a lot for a young person now to go from high school into the service. I wish they would just get them grown already, because I don't know, these young people today, they're just not mentally ready.
Different world we're living in. After COVID, everything went upside down and it's changed. We have a new generation that is looking through these little goggle things, literally, and they're going on the computer and they're playing games, and that's
They
also
think
what
that's
we're
real.
warning children and their parents, that there's a lot of pedophiles on those things, and you're at risk. Your children are at risk, so we need to educate, we need to teach, like, what sites they're on and do their due diligence. And parents, I often ask, hey, is there any way that you can look into what your child is looking at? Like, what
Monitor
pages
your
are they looking at? What are they going through? What games are they playing? So there's a lot of things that I don't understand, because I'm not a techie person, number one, and I don't wear those goggles and do all these games online. There's been too many times that we haven't really had that opportunity yet.
Right. But I like that you're getting involved with helping with the sex trafficking, because that is a huge issue right now. If you, I don't know where you're from, but wherever everybody's from, when you look on the news, the local news near you, you're going to see all these busts of all these adults that are sex trafficking all these children. And it's scary. It's very, very scary.
Right. And people are condemning President Trump. And I just want to announce, I am for whoever is the president, because I am very supportive of like what we're doing. But to say that he's not doing anything is kind of a misdemeanor, because he basically just rescued over 300 people that were getting trafficked, and he's telling people, and he's finding these people in all sorts of different areas. And it's not out there. It's in your backyard. And a lot of people are getting, well, why are we going to this country? Or why can we? Because those people from that country are filtering into our country, and they're taking them back to their country. So we are intertwined. We are interrelated. And that's also why I wanted my children's book in as many police departments, family advocacy groups, as much as possible. And then eventually what I'd really like to do, my dream, is to get the book made into either a cartoon or an animation, so that people that can't read can at least watch it. And then I also want my autobiography to turn into a movie, because then it could really reach anybody around the world. Like, I have 6 different people who've written a book because they read mine, and they're all in different countries, Australia, the UK, one's in Russia, so there's all sorts of different places that people have genuinely, I've made a difference. And though I've made this amount of difference, it's not enough for me, and it should be enough, but it's not. I want to make a difference in a larger scope of practice. So I would like to figure out a way to get it. And you can get my books on Amazon. They're also in Walmart.com online, and they're also at Barnes & Noble online. And again, it looks like this, The Dragon's Voice for 12 and under.
That.
And then also Resilient Warrior is my autobiography.
Now, Mindy, talk a little bit about your biography.
So my autobiography takes you from basically age 3 to about 2020. And the reason I started at age 3 is because I'm an incest survivor. I'm also a sexual assault survivor of many. My brother set me up in multiple different areas in different ways, unfortunately. And he wanted me in different ways that are inappropriate. So I think that's also why I wrote my children's book, to make things become real and help people understand what conversations we need to have. And so it goes from that to also going into different relationships that I've had. It segues into the military, what I dealt with then, and it segues also to where I was tortured for 4 straight months in San Antonio, Texas hospital. And I had to relearn how to walk, talk, and everything else, and swallow everything. So when I say I was bedbound, I mean, literally I had to have my left foot all the way up for 3 years and 8 months. And then I relearned how to walk after 7 years. So, and then having 4 organs taken out and being in 3 comas. So I just wanted, people were like, oh my gosh, you should write a book. And I got so tired of that, people asking me. But when my grandmother asked me, she asked me to write it when I was just out of the military. And she said, you should write a book about this. And I was like, yeah, sure, I will. But then I found out she was getting dementia, and it was the beginning stages. And so I was like, all right, before she gets full blown, I want to get this out. So I gave it to her, and she said on her birthday, she read it all at once. She didn't even go to sleep. She said, I read it all at once, and I wanted to ask you some questions. And I'm like, uh-oh. There's like little beads, like antennas going off, like, oh boy, here we go. Ask away. And then she actually said, these certain characters, is this so-and-so? And is this so-and-so? Because this sounds like so-and-so. And I was like, well, damn, for dementia, she sure is with it.
Yeah, right.
But she was absolutely right. She guessed every single person that it was. And so I think that I was here, basically, if I've survived all of that, why not help other people get through it?
Absolutely.
And why not help other people figure out, like, people would ask me, like, so what did you do to get over it? And I was like, well, I didn't get over it. There's no getting over it. It's getting through it. And then when you're getting through it, there may be constant reminders of the things that have been done and things that are hidden in your body or hidden in your mind somewhere, where when you open Pandora's box, it can get a little scary. And when you also open Pandora's box, some people don't know where to go or what to do. And that's why there's suicide, because they get to a point where they don't know how to tell their secrets. They can't go to counseling. There's certain things that they are embarrassed, and the last 5 or 6 years, I've been talking to a lot of men who have been assaulted as well. And unfortunately, they're so embarrassed because they want to be seen as a man. And they think that at any point that they're not a man just because they've been assaulted.
Right,
and that's not true at all.
More afraid to speak up on sexual crimes against himself than a woman would be. Because women,
and unfortunately, there's that stigma. So men don't want to be stigmatized, and they want that help, but they don't know how to ask. And so when I wrote my story, a friend of mine reached out to me, and at first he was super angry, and I couldn't figure out, like, why are you yelling at me? Why are you so angry? Come to find out, he was raped by 3 women in the military, and then he couldn't tell his story because he felt so, like, embarrassed from what happened and stuff like that, that he was mad that I got my story out, but he couldn't get his. And so I gave him basically an avenue to release those emotions and to release that. So I've been talking to people from all over the world at this point in time, and I genuinely help them get through certain issues that they have, whether it be the military or sexual assault or homelessness or, different things that can make somebody want to commit suicide. And I've taken these classes that are, very important to help prevent suicide, or even when somebody is in that suicidal state, to be able to go talk to them with somebody, or if somebody needs me to talk to them right away, I can do that as well with this class that I just did. And then I'm also doing something called profiling, and that's basically to help the sex trafficking and human alliance. And that's basically to help, we're trying to create as much awareness as possible to decrease it. Because when people don't know about it, they think it's somewhere else, not realizing it's behind their closed doors. It's their neighbors next door.
Yeah.
And children that are able to call people that are not related, oh, this is my auntie. Oh, this is my uncle. Sometimes that's predatory behavior. Sometimes that's called grooming. And what people don't understand is grooming starts very small, and then it gets larger until the child trusts.
And pretending like they're super special. Like the grooming part, that is, I think, the most disgusting way a human being can go at any child, because they trust them. They're buying them an ice cream. They're buying them something. They're making them feel special. They're going to buy them a bicycle, but they're really not. They're really just.
Well, and that segues into like how kids can get taken. And so what I try to also explain to parents is, when I put in there, listen to your intuition, what I would like them to do and go further is talk to them about, like, at school. If somebody comes up to you and says, your mom told me to come get you, so I'm going to bring you home, you tell them that they need to go to the principal or somebody that they trust to make sure that that really happened. And then what I tell the parents to do even further is get somebody the kid doesn't know and practice. practice what would happen if somebody came over that they didn't know that you feel safe with, because you're setting it up, and then if they whatever they do, then you can have a conversation based on that. Whether they did great, then you tell them what they did great. If they missed the ballpark, you tell them why, and they learn really quick that way. Like, oh, somebody stole my puppies. Can you help me find them? No. Hey, I got some candy in my truck. Do you want some? No.
Right. Right.
Can you take off your clothes and let's take some pictures? No. Can you get in my bathtub? I mean, these are the things that happened to me when I was younger. And so I brought them into play so that people could learn from what I went through so that it doesn't happen. And it's going to happen. So if we could decrease it, that would be great too.
There used to be guys that would try to get these teenage girls to be models.
Correct. And that was the thing to do too.
I'm going to make you famous. We're going to make so much money together. I take them to a location and you might never see the girl again.
Correct.
You're gone.
Because they're basically baiting them for a dream that they have. When that dream when a dream becomes a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do prevention
and acknowledged. They want that, like, the attention of feeling special, and then this creep comes along and says all these wonderful things.
Well, everybody at their point, everybody to a point wants to be seen and wants to be heard.
Right. What was you going to say, Mark?
I was going to say, if Mindy can, let's keep this going, even if we have to restart the call here in a couple minutes. Okay.
And we're already at the top of the hour. We've been talking that much. Wow,
yeah.
Mindy, this is crazy awesome.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I talk, people are like, that hour went by a little too quick.
It went really fast. Do you want to do another half an hour?
Okay, what we'll do is this. Okay.
We'll do another half an hour, Mark.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. I'm going to reset the call, bring you guys all right back here again, just like we did before. Okay.
Yep.
So, and then we can go up to another hour on top of that. All right?
Well, okay, good.
Okay. That's up to you. But, we don't want to go too much more than that. All right?
No, we'll feel it out.
All right. So, and the timer on the room is an hour anyways. So,
okay, perfect timing
once we start the group. But anyways, I'm going to do that. We'll be right back, folks. We're going to take a little intermission here right now, and we'll be right back with Debbie and Mindy.
So we're back with Mindy Dourhety. I'm going to say her name wrong. I know I am. She's going to correct me, and I love her for it. Mindy, did you want to put your camera back on, or did you want to?
I have it on. Can you not see it?
No, I only see Mark. Are you seeing her picture?
I see her. Everything's coming through. Now it's gone. It'll be back. Don't worry. There she is.
She is. Okay, I see you now. Perfect. All right. So
I would turn it off and then turn it back on.
So where we were leaving off was your passion on helping people to be more awakened by the sex trafficking and the things that's going on. Now, would you create another book on that too, to specify like different scenarios or something for children to be safe? Or because I love
I've been asked to write more books.
I think you'd be good.
Adults and children. I just don't know what direction I want to go into. But I was also thinking, a friend of mine was wrongfully incarcerated because his wife at the time was very angry. And when they got divorced, she had said some things that weren't very true. And so he ended up going to jail. So what I was talking to him about, because now he can't see his kids and he's ordered basically, restricted from where you can't see them. And I said, I wonder if I could create a book called like Mommy's Away or Mommy and Daddy are Away, so that when they see that they're incarcerated, that maybe that they can understand that they're still cared about. Because a lot of kids think that it's their fault of what happened or something that they did when, it's like children for the most part will think it's all of their fault. And so I'm not exactly sure what book I want to create next. And I'm not even sure if I want to create a book. I'm just gonna go with this one for right now. And then when my brain is ready to, think of something else that's good, then I think then I will come back to it. I think your camera's off.
Yeah, she's probably messing with the dogs. Keep going, Mindy.
Okay. So what I also am thrilled about is I basically tapped into something independent filming. And the independent filming has been fun because it takes you into a place where you get to be different than who you are without any consequences. And I like that. So I have dabbled into the horror genre right now. And somebody asked me, like, what role do you want to do? And I said, it doesn't matter what role. I want to be able to kill somebody and I want to die. And I also want to get to the point where basically I get a strong female character because I wanted to be able to expand I didn't want to get stuck in one genre. So I've done, horror, I've done horror comedy, action, and there's a whole bunch of different things that I've done so that I don't get stuck in being one character at all times. And the next one is called The Killer Pizza Man. And so that's going to be very interesting and very fun. We're going to start filming in either the middle or end of July. And so it'll be very interesting how that plays out too.
Sounds like a comedy.
It's supposed
Like
to be a horror comedy. So we'll see.
Yeah. I bet it'll be funny because that just the title itself.
Right.
But I think that you'd be such a bonus to military films because of your knowledge, your depth of what you know, your training. Well,
I definitely played a soldier in Bridge of the Doom with zombies. And other people were starting to ask me like, hey, do you want to, do you still want to play a military person? I'm like, it depends on what we're doing, And
right.
I got to, with these independent filmings, what people don't realize is I get to act with people that I probably normally would not get to, like Robert Lasardo, all these other different people that I was able to learn from. And it has amazed me just being able to watch their craft and see how they're able to transition or they're able to get through things that some would not. So it's just been a very interesting journey so far.
Oh, absolutely. Now you thinking like different types of like period films, like whether it's Renaissance or just like a Wild Wild West.
All of them would be interesting. I'm very open and open-minded. So if somebody did want me to come on and do that role, we would discuss it. And then I would look at what they have me doing. Cause that's the other thing. There's certain things that I won't agree to doing. And that's fine. They can pick somebody else, but then there's things that like, I could like basically look at it and go, I think I could do that. Or I'll have the role expanded, or just depends on what the role is. But I'm definitely interested in getting into more films as well. And I've been doing voiceovers for people that are in other countries, which is really cool too. In this country too. But it's really fun to see that people have reached out from Australia, Canada, the UK. So
that's really
they start knowing me from my books. And then they're like, wait, you do more? Like, oh, okay. And I think because I have so many different roles that I do, like I'm a nurse, I'm what's called a WATSU practitioner. So I bring people in the water that have PTSD, anxiety, joint issues, MS, Parkinson's, they've had a stroke, etc. I bring them into the warm water where there's minerals, and I get to basically, the water circles around them, and I do certain things to help stretch their body out, and then also get them back to where they're comfortable enough to where they feel like they're safe and back in the womb. And what that does is it makes it so not only do they feel safe, but I can help them through their PTSD, especially military veterans, because it rewires the brain. So once you've been to war, or once you've had such a traumatic past or childhood, you have to rewire the brain. Otherwise, the wires will get kind of stuck. And you'll go into like this. You'll notice some people, they'll talk about the same story over and over and over again because they don't know how to circulate. They don't know how to veer off to that circulation. So what I've noticed in the past too is different types of therapy help rewire that and help the brain basically. And if you help the brain calm down, then you help the body. And sometimes the body reacts before the brain does. So basically, if you get those two to come back together, then it's much better, you know? And I think that at this point, there's just so many people that are desperate for change. They just don't know how to get the change. So I created a company called Feed My City. And the premise was one seed, one plant, and one garden at a time. And what that means is you plant the seed and then the plant grows. If you can, because there's some people that own farms, take the food that you have and give it to your neighbor if they're down and out, or, you know, go to the food banks and give it to them, because there's so many people that just throw out their food and throw out things that are not even bad yet because they don't want that overhead. So I implore people to, you know, why don't you give that food away to people that can use it? You're on mute.
So many starving people right now, and the way economy, like gas prices just went up again, and so many people struggling right now, especially elderly people. I say look out for your neighbors, because you never know who's having a hard time. You never know who might need you for a minute or two, even if it was something simple.
Well, and at some point, if you're in your 20s, you're going to get to your 30s. And then it's going to creep up to you like it did me. And I'm like, whoa, I'm going to be 50 this year. And back in the day, I was like, gosh, that's old. And my mom was like, oh, wait till you get to that age. And my grandma would always remind me of that. She goes, well, one day you're going to be my age. And I was thinking, oh, gosh, no, I'm not. You couldn't conceptualize it. And I'm sure in like 25 years, that's going to be me. Like, oh, my gosh, I'm hitting 75 years old. And I didn't think I was going to get to this point. You just never know, too. You never know how long you're going to live, and you never know how long you're destined to be here. You know, many things can happen. I tell people, I joke around, I tell people I'm undiable because I haven't died yet through all the things I've been through. You know, 3 comas, had all these surgical things that, you know, went awry, and I'm still here. So I'm like, well.
People are living longer, too, and 70 is not 70 anymore. I see 70-year-olds now, they look like they're in their 40s.
Right, and stem cells are great. So,
like, what?
If we could eventually get stem cells in America, that would be great. Because I've flown out to Colombia and went to a company called BioAccelerator. They're the #1 stem cell company in the world. And what they do is they use Wharton's jelly, and basically what happens is they withdraw the cells from the umbilical cord. It's not a child. They're not doing anything. It's a wasted product anyways. So they take the cells out of the umbilical cord, and they take your blood out, and they mix that into a machine to get the perfect cells for you, and then they inject them back in. So if they inject it into the spinal cord, it's the only way to get past the blood-brain barrier and help with memory issues, TBIs, which is traumatic brain issue, CTEs, which is for the boxers or people that fight, that basically their brain gets kind of mushy in their, you know, memory goes out, their behaviors get sporadic, they're all of a sudden they're angry for, it's not for no reason, it's because they got banged too many times in their head. Or you get soldiers that have been over in war and they've had concussion, you know, their brain has micro fractures in it because basically they were by these bombs or
and the sound barriers, the sound is so loud that it can like damage.
Right. And not only that, people's hearing goes out for that same reason too. So if stem cells can literally revitalize our body and I'll pause on that one because basically America is big on the proponents of big pharma. So they don't believe in cure. They believe in care, because if they cure you, they can't make any more money, which is pretty sad to me, and it makes me angry, because I don't understand why we can't have more benefits for our country and make big pharma not go away, but make big pharma understand that actually they might be able to help in a different way. Big pharma is not going away. The medications, they're not going away too. And people's illnesses, the way that we eat and all the other stuff that they're talking about, like the 5G radiation, and you don't know what's getting into your body at this point in time, and you don't know what's going in your food. The fast food that they give us, there's, this program that somebody went on for 8 weeks, and they only lasted 3 weeks before their liver started to fail. So that goes to say that the stuff that we're putting in our mouth, it really heavily weighs on your brain and your body, and it makes a difference.
This is all factory made. Unless you are a cook at home and you like to create your own meals independently, all the vegetables separate, nothing that's already been frozen, put in a store. So you're buying frozen food, frozen meat, everything is frozen. By the time, and just the carbs and all the extra garbage your body doesn't actually need in it, it's all in there. So every time you want one of those $5 meals, you're taking in, you don't know what's going into your body anymore.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, I'm agreeing with you on that. I think that unless you eat healthy and you cook your own meals and you don't buy that pre-made stuff.
Hold on real quick. Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to try to create some light in my room, but let's see. Tried to turn on my lamp, but I think the handle's broken. Mark.
I was telling you my sprinklers were leaking earlier. It's raining. So here I am thinking, this is going to flood my backyard. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, well, it obviously can't come from the roof. So thankfully it's raining.
It's not very great weather here today, but we had some odd weather today. It's
really been weird, though, the weather. Like, we didn't even have a winter this year. There was only one time that the snow even came, and by the time it was like 5 or 10 minutes later, it was all gone. So we didn't, I loved it. The skiers, not so much. The people that go up to the mountains, they were not so happy, but I was very happy.
We got snow for one day. It was melted the next. Gone. Right. That was crazy. I'm trying to get some light on my picture here because I'm losing light. My lamp's broken. I didn't even know it was. I'm trying to figure it out. Sorry. So if you see me go into the dark, I'm haunting my own house. Oh, my goodness. So, Mindy, now, what type of films would you like to see yourselves in moving forward into the future? Because I think that your goals of what you want are just that you just have so many different ones. There's so many different types of films that's going on right now with everybody. I'm just trying to get some light on the situation, though, so don't mind me.
I would be open to doing anything at this point in time, except porn or anything like that involves any of that stuff. I'm open to doing horror. I'm open to doing comedy, action, some of these, different film festivals as well. I've been asked to possibly do one in Portland, the 48-hour films. So it just depends, it depends on the script and it depends on what role somebody wants me in. It's hard to say what movie genre I'd want to. It all depends on the role and then where we're filming, because I had somebody ask me if I would come to Europe and I was like, I don't know, with right now, the way that they, you can't really sometimes you can't even get there because the planes are basically getting canceled. And with the TSA people not getting paid, you don't know if you're going to get, you can get to one section. You don't know if you're going to get back though, So I would probably stay in the United States for right now. Although I'm very open to going to other countries as well, just not right this minute. So I would say anything I'm open to. someone would just have to contact me and tell me what the role is, where it's going to be filmed, and what genre it would be.
So if you could travel anywhere in the world to film,
Yeah, I've got a passport.
where would you like to go? If you could travel anywhere
If I
in the
could
world.
travel, I would love to meet the Vikings the people that were in the Vikings Valhalla.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a friend of mine was in every single season. So I would like to go to Ireland, and I have friends in Scotland. So I would love to go to Ireland, Scotland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Those are the countries that I really want to hit. And then the other ones I'll probably think of after this podcast. I'll be like, oh yeah, I wanted to go there too.
That's awesome. I would love to see Scotland. I would love to see Norway. My ancestors, that's where we come from, so I want to
And
see that.
Sweden, I would like to go there too, just to
Oh,
see
yeah.
like what it's like.
Well, the Norwegians and the Swedes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's that blue border. They just
Yeah.
cross over a little bit here and there, and then so there's a lot of but they changed the world in Europe for sure.
Right.
The best shipbuilders in the world, even to this day, they still communicate like how amazing they were at their craft.
Right. It's
So
going to be interesting too how it's portrayed. Like a friend of mine's on this new film or new series called Blood Axe, and it's going to come out soon. And it follows through with like the Viking stuff too. So I really loved the Vikings, and I love Michael Hurst's writing. I love what he did with those. I love how the actors went from one episode to where they all grew with each other. And by episode and by season like 6 or 7, you could see that they went from a child literally to like growing up to what they are now. It's like, oh my gosh, boy, did you change? We all do, right? But it's fascinating sometimes to see some of these actors go from like childhood to all of a sudden you see them and you're like, whoa, you're an adult now.
6 feet tall. They go from being like a 4-foot tall kid, or maybe even shorter, to
like
like
Dakota Fanning that was in
He's been in a lot of stuff.
I can't remember what that Man on Fire. It was Man on Fire. And then seeing her from that go to like Twilight, she's almost an adult. It's like, whoa.
It is amazing to see that the change in.
Right.
Would you do a series like that? Would you ever be interested?
Oh, yeah. In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, I would.
Yeah. I think that I could see you as a Viking, though.
I would definitely be interested in doing series as well. Like even if it was a mini series or if it was filmed in a studio or, I would like to do more of a variety. I don't ever want to get stuck in one genre. So I would love to figure out like, but it just depends. Like I said, it depends on what people have out there for me, and if the role is right, then I say yes. Sci-fi, yes. I would definitely do a sci-fi. And I would do a space movie for sure.
What about UFO, outer space, and like
any of it? Aliens.
Aliens. Would you do the makeup? Would you do the FX makeup?
Oh, yeah.
You would?
I would.
That's cool. So I know a lot of actors have ruined that, and they literally like they complain. They say how hot it is, but they have to.
Because when you're getting it put on, you're there for like 6 hours sometimes getting makeup done. And then you transform into somebody completely different. And some people there's no way you would recognize them. You're like, wait a minute, was that you? Your face doesn't even look like you.
I watched that TV show Face Off, and they would do that.
Yes.
And they don't look, and you wouldn't even know what the person looks like.
Right.
Until they show you with the before and after. So I think that's really interesting. Now, what about, would you do some stunts? Because I know that you've been injured in your past.
I wouldn't. No, I've already told people that I won't do stunts. If they need somebody running or they need somebody getting like thrown over a car, they could do a stunt double. But I'm never going to do that because it puts my body at risk. And at this point, like unfortunately am at a space and time where my bones break really fast. Walking in the canyon, I broke bones. So it just depends, and that's why I would not do any stunts, and I wouldn't want to put myself in that position. And I never want to ever think that I'm going to be bedbound again, because it's scary to me. And being in a wheelchair for almost that long, no. There's plenty of ways that with all this new AI, they can put AI in there and segue it that way.
Oh, they can too.
Yeah, I never realized what they could do with AI until a friend of mine showed me what they could do. People are making songs with AI, and it's not even their voice. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. Making up words and sticking it in there, and all of a sudden some voice comes out with like drums and bass, and they have a whole band.
Sounds like them, but it's not their voice. It sounds
sometimes, but you can actually put your voice in, and they have a new program now where you put your voice in, and it filtrates, and then it has other people's voices, so you're almost like in a band. It has definitely transitioned.
It is, and it's crazy because now with AI, you don't know what's real, what you're looking at. I mean, I've been watching videos, and I'm just like looking, and you can see sometimes where it's an AI where there'll be a glitch. But
or you'll see the hand go through the sword, or the hand go through the shield, and you're like, oh, okay, phew, I'm not seeing things.
Yeah.
Then there's others where, like a friend of mine just literally, he was in Scotland, and he lives in Scotland, and he's like, Mindy, I put this thing together for you. And I was like, yeah, let me see what it is. And it was literally a Viking woman, which is, he put me and a Viking man coming together, and literally we're kissing and embracing in the scene. And I'm like, whoa. That looks a little too real. That's scary. And then on another thing, you can see like my hand going through a sword. You're like, oh, okay, well, you obviously can't do that one. Or going through a shield when you're up through the, pausing moments. But they're getting better at even those glitches. So people may not know what's real and what's not.
Really
soon.
scary.
And I think that's why the people and the actors, they were getting nervous, because they were like, well, they can use my likeness and say that I did something, and they're absolutely right. They can just put them in a different animation or whatever they want, and all of a sudden they're doing something they never did.
That's true. Not just that, but like you could frame somebody, like completely frame them, make them think that they're with somebody else and they're not.
Right.
Because they can look like they're doing one thing and they're not. Well, like, scary.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's scary. IA is scary. I always thought it would be, but I was more worried about robots. I was worried about the robots. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not so much worried about the robots. I'm worried about radiation and how they're basically getting into the radiation parts to where they can kill you with that radiation in 5G. And people were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
And there's new warfare, being that they're using high potency radiation to actually make it so that we're so bad. And that's how cancer develops too. So I don't find it different that now they're all of a sudden we're getting all these cancers, and even dogs. My friend's dog just ended up getting cancer. So it's like all these things that's like, what is in our water such that our dogs are getting cancer, or they're getting ill now too. So the veterinarian people make money, doctors are making money. It's just, unfortunately, it is big pharma. It is about the money.
It really is, because when I had my puppies, I wanted to buy the best food for them because I wanted them to get the best stock. So, of course, I was doing a little research and what I found was there was dog food that actually can kill a dog.
Yeah, you can only see it from your nose down. You might want to tilt your camera up, because you can only see like from your nose down.
I got her. She's good here.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm running out of light. I'm trying. My lamp won't work, guys. I'll have it fixed next time for sure, though. But yeah.
Well, that might be a great time to stop.
I'm sitting in the window. I'm trying to sit in the window. My phone won't.
So thank you for the opportunity. This has been a great segue to probably let's stop for now, and then we can kind of regroup and catch up on another time.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Mindy, I appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And all this wonderful information about the military has opened my eyes, and I hope it's opened a lot of other eyes.
Sure. Let me show you this one more time. It's Resilient
Yep.
Warrior on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble or Walmart. And then this as well is called A Dragon's Voice. And that's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Walmart.com.
I love it.
Can you
Thank
type that in the chat and I'll copy and paste that over into the other chats?
Oh, sure.
Well, thank you, Mindy.
Thank you
That was
so much.
awesome. So much fun catching up with you.
Yeah, this has been great.
And how do we get a hold of
right.
you, Mindy, if anybody out there wants to get a hold of you?
So I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. My name is Mindy Dourhety, MindyDougherty. And in Instagram, it's WTRGPSY, which is water gypsy basically without the vowels. So WTRGPSY. Everywhere else, it's Mindy Dougherty, and the face remains the same. So if you don't see the same face, it's not me.
That's right. That's good.
And then
You're good.
I'm not sure how to share the links, but maybe you can message me and I'll do that for
Yeah,
you.
we'll get that out
make sure you
later.
Get everything too.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you guys
Thank
again
you.
for your time. I appreciate it all.
You're awesome. Okay, so you can hang up, hon, when you're ready.
How do I was trying to figure out how to get those links.
Little red button. Oh, Mark, we'll make sure you get the links.
Yeah,
I'll make sure you get everything.
yep.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
I ended the recording from that part. If you want to just stick around for a little bit and just chit-chat about anything else, that's up to you.
She wants to get going.
All right.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Mindy,
we can stop for now.
I will.
I'm losing, like,
I'll give
my
your
head
information out to other hosts as well. If
Okay.
you're, if
Yeah,
you'd like
that
to
would be
take
great.
and get in on some of the
That
other
would be great.
shows.
She really could. Yeah, get that book out there. Get that book out
Mm-hmm.
there. Because I think that book is going to be so instrumental to children. Mindy, I think your book is going to help so many people.
I hope so. I'm just wanting to get it into as many places as I possibly can.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Have a good day.
All right.
Bye, Mindy. Thank you.